This man, Jordan Belfort, defrauded investors of over $200 million. His punishment? Spending 22 months in Taft Correctional Institute, which is a private prison. His cellmate was the famous Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong, and they both speak about how they played tennis and backgammon together in their free time. Belfort claims he only wrote a book because Chong told him he needed to, and that he was inspired by Chong. These books eventually led to a lucrative movie deal that featured Leonardo DiCaprio depicting Belfort in a biopic.
On the flip side, Mark Ciravella, a judge in Pennsylvania, was caught up in a 10-year scandal where kids were intentionally and wrongfully convicted for crimes in exchange for millions of dollars from detention facilities. One of the victims, 17-year-old Ed Kanowski, was charged with possession of narcotics and paraphernalia, basically an MIP. He was sentenced to over 2 years of prison time and was swapped to a different facility without his mother's knowledge hours away. His lawyer was not even allowed to speak during his trials, all in an effort to make sure they meet quotas and make money. He ended up taking his own life after being released. He wasn't the only one. Over 2,500 children were victims of this corruption, with some being as young as 8 years old.
The United States incarcerates people at the highest rate out of any independent democracy in the world. Every state in the US incarcerates more people per capita than most nations. Private prisons hold over 100,000 of these people. Not only does the US incarcerate people at an alarming rate, the US also incarcerates specific demographics at alarming rates. People of color remain massively overrepresented in prisons, accounting for nearly 7 in 10 people in prison. In 2019, Black Americans represented 14% of the total US population, 33% of the total prison population, and 46% of the prison population who had already served at least 10 years. Black Americans comprise 55% of those serving life without the possibility of parole, the most extreme life sentence.
This is where things become more concerning. Mass incarceration isn't an emergency for certain people. It's a business plan. CoreCivic has made over $1.9 billion in income in recent years and run dozens of locations across the country. Keeping beds occupied literally determines their profit. Geo Group has also generated about $2 billion in revenue annually, operates more than 100 sites both domestically and abroad. To keep facilities full and their stockholders satisfied, both firms have consistently advocated for the laws and raised incarceration rates and mandatory minimum terms. Both CoreCivic and Geo Group notably made large donations to Donald Trump's campaign in 2024. These are the two largest providers of ICE detention facilities that make money by filling capacity.
So how do we move forward? First, we need to begin with accountability. Joe Biden offered clemency to Judge Conahan, a privilege granted to mostly white people. This is the opposite of accountability, as he sent children away for long times. The next thing we need to do is reevaluate obligatory minimum sentencing. The last thing we need to do is community investment. We must address the underlying causes of crime. This goes beyond the bad judges and a deeper structure that punishes poverty while rewarding power and puts profit ahead of justice and rehabilitation.